Going live on that computer, and now it says we are live. So I'm gonna check audio coming through my computer 3. Yeah, I hear it. So I know there's a couple in the chat room. Give me a confirmation on audio and video, please. And so Greg, we're back.
Okay.
It's gonna work this time, right?
I sure hope so. Either that or I'm going to Best Buy down the street and buy a new thumb drive.
Yeah. And we're working with your externally connected SSD.
I've got both. I brought both down with
You brought
me.
both of them.
Yeah, you wanted to try the USB one first? I mean,
It might be interesting to see if we can get better
okay, let me
responses
plug
from it. Yeah, let's go ahead and plug that in.
Okay, it's plugged in.
All right, switching back to your computer. Well, your son's computer. Yeah, let's start with File Explorer. See what that tells us about it. On your computer, it was showing us a drive letter for it. Let's see, we got recent files. Let's go to View and turn on the navigation pane. Expand Open Folder Navigation pane. It's showing up, appears to be the E drive.
Yeah.
Is the D drive something internal? Okay.
Yeah, his D drive is a SATA drive like mine.
Yeah.
That's where he just installs his programs and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the E drive, we're getting similar response as we got on yours. So here we go with Windows key R and disk mgmt.msc. Maximize that. And here's that unallocated space. Right click, new simple volume. Oh,
hey.
We got further here than we did on your computer.
Yeah.
Which, goes back to saying there's still something wrong with your computer.
Yeah, something not kosher.
Yeah, in a few different places. So, F drive, that suits you okay?
It doesn't matter as long as it works.
Letter. All right,
it's just a drive letter.
Yeah. NTFS, we'll leave it at that.
Yep.
Quick format,
yep.
Probably fine. And finish. Boom.
Well,
almost. Not quite done. Hello, Sam. Hello, Sangode. Hello, Rick. Hello, Philip. Yes, there it is.
Yep, took the F drive.
That worked. Much more better.
Yeah.
Let's go to the F drive. Right click. New folder. Yep, I can create a folder there. So good. And we'll go get
Rufus.
Rufus, our old friend Rufus. I'll tell you what, I don't have a dog right now, but my next dog, I wouldn't be surprised if I name him Rufus, if this works well. It's got to work well.
It's showing better progress, so I'm hoping it's going to work.
Was it actually rufus.com? I don't think so. I think I did a search for Rufus. Rufus.ie.
Sounds like it might be overseas.
Yes, and I think I even saw at one point where it is. And go down to download. Go to
portable. Yeah.
Portable. You've chosen to open, save file. Here's our download arrow up here. Display the progress of ongoing downloads. Completed. Rather than open file, I'm going to go to the containing folder. Right click, cut. Go to C drive. I will leave it to you. Right click new folder and call it Rufus Right click paste. And Rick says the audio and video are fine. Thank you. Sangoat says the same. Thank you. Forgot to look back at that. So then this is an executable, and I'm going to right click and run as administrator. Not sure that's required, but why not? Do you want to allow Rufus to check application updates online? I think we did yes for that last time. It seems hard to believe there would be any after fresh download. New volume disk ISO, we will choose, not select. We haven't downloaded that yet. So the down arrow and click download, and then click the download button in order to choose what we want to download. And it's Windows 10 rather than Windows 8.1. Click continue. And then the release that we want is 1909, which corresponds. Continue. And home and pro rather than education. Continue, even though we are getting educated here. And continue. Oh, there's the language international. Let's go back. Let's see. Can we choose English International? English.
There we go.
And I'm sure there's nothing in here for United
no
States.
US.
So yeah, English. So that was a good little nuance to know about. Because it defaulted to English International.
Yeah, it did.
Right. And not going to use a browser for downloading. And I'm going to choose the location. Study setup. Right click, new folder. Windows 1909. All right.
I see it's set to MBR automatically.
Okay. So it seems to me after it finished downloading, it automatically changed from MBR to GPT.
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah, that's my recollection. So what caused that? At the top line does show the new volume F and the 16 gigabytes. So that's your memory stick. So it might be that it recognizes that memory stick currently formatted as MBR. We just formatted it, right? Yeah, we just formatted it in Disk Manager.
Yeah.
We formatted it in TFS.
Yeah, but I don't think there was a selection for the partition.
Yeah, I don't think there was a partition scheme selection. So that's interesting. Do I still have disk management open? I do not. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that. Disk mgmt.msc. Looking at the boot drive. It's NTFS. Status capacity. It's an EFI system partition. This is the 3 partitions. See, I'm questioning, is this booted on an MBR partition?
I couldn't tell you that for sure.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking it is based upon what we saw before, because I think a GPT drive has more partitions than that by default. So let's see what disk part tells us. This is all stuff I don't have memorized very well. And then I think it's list disk. Yeah. Well, it shows disk 0 and disk 1 as GPT. There's an asterisk right there.
Right. See that.
All right. See, so I suppose a person just has to know if there's no asterisks there, then that means it is MBR. I'm deducing that is a safe conclusion. And this EFI partition there, I'm pretty sure that EFI is referring to a UEFI BIOS, but that is also an area I'm not 100% confident about. But we do have just the 3 partitions. One of our chat helpers, if I'm remembering correctly, I think he was saying that indicated MBR. So, looking over to chat, see what we got. Your stream lagging from Harambe. Let's see. Okay, let me click over here for stream health and see what it tells me. It says stream is healthy, stream is excellent, error, YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. That was at 3:04 p.m. So it has that error in there. Let's see, no data, 3:04, 2:58, stream is healthy, 3:04, no data. Then it's healthy, then another 3:04 says not receiving enough. All right. So I'm going to try on my computer, which is, which one do I want to do this on? Yeah, that download's still got a while to go. So I'm going to open another browser. On my computer, that'll show up in the video. Go to a new tab and try speed test. I had to replace my modem yesterday. My Comcast router died, or was that yesterday? Yeah, that was yesterday. Yeah, it went down to 0.28 upload speed, and it was just not working.
Yeah, that's way too low.
Yeah. Now, this download speed is very slow. That's not going to harm streaming, but it sure makes me worried about upload speed. My upload speed is supposed to be around 14, 15 megabits per second. I'm getting 12.5.
Oops.
Yeah, well, that's not that download speed. I was about 600 download after installing this new modem, so it certainly looks questionable. Okay, so we got stream lagging. Rick, the way I was taught decades ago in the days before Acronis and such was to partition the main drive, put Windows and main programs in partition 1, minor programs and data in partition 2. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Rick. I did that in the old days. Don't really hold to that so much anymore. Sam, the partition scheme selection will only be available when you clean a drive in disk part. Okay, so that's where you have to select which scheme you want. All right, Rick, not true. You just select partition 1 in Windows, install, it formats itself. Rick says I still do it. Sam, EFI is a partition or file the computer uses to boot. Okay. So that's probably distinguishing that EFI and that is not referring to a UEFI or have any connection to a UEFI BIOS. It's a EFI, extensible file information. UEFI is unified extensible file information, I think. William, shouldn't Rufus select the right version of format and reformat the USB to match? Yeah, it appeared to us before, we had the impression that it was selecting the right partition scheme based upon the computer that was being used to download, but I don't know that for sure. Rick, you do it your way. I'll continue to do it mine. Sam, William, it's just downloading ISO right now. Agreed. Harambe, it's fine now. Was laggy before. Okay, we're caught up. Thank you again for joining us in the chat room and adding your 2 cents worth. I appreciate it very, very much. Did we ever actually declare how long this download took on your computer, Greg?
I think it was about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
My motherboard is an X470, and his is a Gigabyte B365M.
Yeah, I don't know those well enough to have any idea how they compare to each other.
It's a little bit lesser of a motherboard than mine.
Than yours. All right.
And he only runs at 266 megahertz on his RAM. I've been hoping that they'd update the BIOS to increase that, but haven't seen anything on the Gigabyte website.
All right.
And I just updated his system. The Gigabyte App Center goes through all your drivers and stuff like that and updates them. I just did that about not even a week ago.
Okay, so once we get this, then we're going to, you'll use that to install the Windows 10 1909 on your computer. We're not going to be able to watch any of that unless you're able / willing to use perhaps a cell phone for Zoom. If you don't want to go to that extent, that's fine. You can just let us know how it goes. How do you feel about that? I know you don't have your own smartphone, but maybe
My son
else
does, but I think he went for a walk, and I don't see his phone sitting around here.
All right. Well, yeah, we're not quite. This is downloading, and then we have to install that image on the USB drive, which I would think is going to take less time than downloading it, but I don't know.
I would think so. It's just a copy function.
Yeah, because this is just this is bottlenecked
And
by the internet.
he's got the same root drive as I have, the 970 EVO Plus that I put in there close to a month ago.
So I'm intending to watch this pretty closely when it gets to the end of that graph to see if I can see the partition scheme change. Of course, we could go back and look at the earlier video to see when that actually happens, and does it really matter? Nope, it's just me being curious. Both board from William, both boards should have a 1 gigabyte LAN port at minimum. Yeah, but that's that the internet speed isn't gonna utilize all of that. That 1 gigabyte network would be useful for copying between computers on the network.
Now he's got a Intel processor on his machine here. Should I download the Intel Support Assistant and let it run?
No, I don't see any. I'm not aware of any need to do that. Now, somebody may.
Carrie's talked about it quite a bit.
Well, and that could be true. Okay, disclaimer that I need to remember to say once in a while. I'm not in the same world that Carrie is. I don't build clone computers. My main focus of my business is supporting my business clients, and that's pretty much all with name brand manufactured computers. And so Carrie deals with a lot of nuts and bolts that I don't deal with.
Well, I was more concerned about the Intel chipset.
No, I think Windows 10 is going to do fine with installing drivers for that. I don't think you have to do any special drivers for that. But now again, you correct me. What has Carrie been saying? I don't get to catch all of Carrie's videos anymore. I used to.
Well, he recommends people that have an Intel chip download that and install it, and it just sits in the system tray and says, "Oh, you got a new driver." Intel's released a new driver or chipset,
okay.
and you just click on it and it automatically installs for you instead of you having to go to their web page and drill down and find
see,
it.
there's a thing where I'm supporting business clients. I don't want any pop-ups showing up for them.
Right.
So I would not be doing that among my clients. And that whatever that driver does is probably so obscure that most people aren't going to feel a real benefit from it. That's not to discount that perhaps it's a good idea for you because you're more technical mind than what my typical clients are. So here we're getting to the end of this.
Yeah.
Watching a partition scheme field. There's something, it actually added an extra field in there, so the partition scheme dropped down a notch. So, and here we have that file name. We don't have that extra international stuff that we saw before. Standard Windows installation. Partition scheme automatically changed to GPT. And UEFI non-CSM. That crazy name. So that all looks good to me. Ready to go? You ready to go?
Yeah.
Greg? All right. Start. Warning, all data on device. I'm going to look back at chat again. Did both boards. Sam says, I like it. Use the Intel supported system for new machines and outdated laptops. It helps with easily downloading the most recent drivers. Gotcha. William, Intel support will update your Intel drivers. I use it, but mine is Intel system. It finds very to zero updates. Very few, I suppose, to zero updates. Rick, Intel driver and support assistant is the program Carrie suggested. I use it on all 4 of my computers. Kevin, I also build PCs for my clients, and you're missing on a fresh build. I also run it during. Here's my world comparison to that is most of my clients will have Dell and HP computers.
Right.
When I go to rebuild a computer to a fresh format, I will go to the HP site or the Dell site and use their driver wizard tool.
Right.
And that gets me the most current drivers up to that point. But I do not leave that installed on their computer. I figure when it's brought up to date to what it is at that point, I'm not going to worry about updates after that because they're not changing equipment, they're not doing new and different things, and I don't want them having any pop-ups. So that's where in my world, what I do. Okay, all data on the device, yada yada. Click OK. Formatting, creating file system, task 11 and 12, copying ISO files.
Well, we've gotten a lot farther than we did on my machine.
Yeah, scooting right along. Now, top of my suspect list, so we have seen a few things on your computer that don't work the way they're supposed to. But is that because there's some kind of glitch happening in hardware, or is that because there's some kind of glitch in software configuration, etc.? We don't know. This method of installing Windows 10 1909 fresh and then performing the upgrade, if there is anything hardware causing a problem, it should show up. We should have troubles with doing that.
I think it's in the Windows software myself.
Well, you're free to think what you want at this point. My background, I have learned, I don't go into it with preconceived notions because I have had times when I have spent tons and tons of time trying to fix a problem, and then I finally decide to, all right, I'm just going to go reinstall Windows, And I find I can't reinstall Windows. I can't even get through the installation of the first rendition of it. And I did not see that coming. So that's just been my background, my experience. And I don't know what you're going to get. I don't care about predicting it. I don't care about being right or wrong. All I care about is that we find out what the truth is and get it fixed, get it working for you. All right, then.
Now, when I take this USB up to my machine, I'm going to plug it in. Am I just going to go through Explorer and run setup?
No, you have to reboot the computer to that USB stick.
Okay.
So you're going to need to know what function key on your keyboard you need to press.
To get into the BIOS?
Not the BIOS, but the alternate boot. Now maybe somebody in chat can help us because we've already told them what your motherboard is, what function key is used to select an alternate boot source. And you're also going to disconnect your second drive, your internal SSD drive. Now, there's also the possibility that you might have to make a change in the BIOS to allow for it to boot to a USB, because I believe that BIOS.
Yeah, I think I've seen Kerry do that before. He go into the BIOS and select boot override one-time use.
Yeah, and they actually have the capability in BIOS to prevent a person from booting from a USB, because then if you also password protect your BIOS, then that prevents somebody from compromising your computer by gaining access to it without having to boot your hard drive.
I don't have a password on my BIOS.
All right, so Sam looks like he's going to look up the function key to be sure how to select an alternate boot. Now, I've also seen, and this may vary from one motherboard to another, is that if you just keep tapping the escape key about twice per second, that'll at least cause it to pause or display messages on screen as to what keys to press in order to gain access to BIOS or to alternate boot. Let's see, we have 13 people concurrently viewing according to the screen here. I'm still showing stream is healthy. Analytics, 13 viewers. All right, let's see what we got here. Rick, I had problems with Windows Mail app when 1803 was new. It stopped downloading new mail so bad that Microsoft Disability Desk suggested I reinstall Windows after 4 hours. Then I'm thinking he's going to continue with another message. Stop downloading. Yeah, I'm suspecting that reinstalling Windows was just their way of saying, we don't know what the problem is.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. Oh, I had let's see what. I'm trying to remember who it was. One of my clients recently, they had a problem with their computer and they sent it in for repair, for warranty repair, and he was shipped back a replacement computer with no provision for what he had on his hard drive. I think he had most of his stuff in the cloud, but I think basically didn't see that coming. All right, here we go. Important notice about secure boot. You just created media that uses the UEFI NTFS bootloader. Please remember that to boot this media, you must disable secure boot. So that's also an option in your UEFI BIOS settings. So do you have that mental note of that?
I'm writing it down now.
Even better. Disable secure boot. For details on why this is necessary, see more information button below. I don't think we need to look at the more information because we just discussed that. Booting from a USB or allowing that to happen reduces the security of your computer. Looks like we got some responses here. Let's see. William says, I run Asus Prime 370A and pushing F2 or delete enters BIOS setup. Should be able to select boot devices from the boot menu. And Sam says delete or F2 will get you into the BIOS. So both of them are responding as your objective is to get into the BIOS, and then I'm suspecting an option somewhere within there for boot choices and maybe changing the boot priority so that USB boots before the M.2 drive. So that means if you have a bootable USB in there, it would automatically boot to it. In that case, you need to be sure to not have it in place when you're trying to boot from the hard drive. But it looks like we don't have a function key for you to choose an alternate boot method. Once you get into that area of the BIOS, you might see an explanation there of what key to press. All right, so clicking close button here and then close. Do we have your son's cell phone back yet?
He hasn't come back yet.
All right. I think we've done everything we set out to do at this point, haven't we? The next step really is to do the fresh install of 1909 on your computer. Disconnect your D drive first.
Right.
And your D drive and C drives are kind of similar in size. When you get into the install procedure, you're going to be making choices along the lines of installing Windows now, and I think it's custom or advanced install. Don't use basic. You're going to get the partition table of the existing partition. You're going to need to click on the partitions and delete them. Get to the point to where completely through the installation there. Be nice to be able to do that with you on Zoom and the cell phone, but if we're not, then we would just have you complete the installation of 1909 and then come back into Zoom session, and we'll establish a remote connection to that computer, and then we'll take it through the updates, hopefully all the way up to 20H2.
I hope I can remember all this.
I will send you my cell phone number because we haven't exchanged that yet.
I think it was in your original email, I think, wasn't it?
I don't know, but I'll send it to you again so you don't have to go hunting for it. And let's see, can we call Greg when he is doing that? Okay, meaning we could just have a phone conversation with you while you're running that if you don't have a cell phone to do Zoom. But you have a house phone there, but not a cell phone, right?
Right.
Is the house phone near your computer?
Oh yeah, it's cordless. Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay, cordless. So, I see you looking around there for the emails. I've got us off
Yeah,
camera right
I
now.
just forwarded the first one you sent me that had the link for the Zoom in it.
Okay, did you find a phone number?
No, there wasn't a phone
Yeah, I
number
didn't
in
think
that.
so. So I'm going to go ahead and do a... Ooh, what is that? Am I doing this on your computer or mine? Yeah, that's my... What is that? Go back this way again. Oh, looks like I started an email that I lost track of. And send only has the phone number. Let's see, there's your computer. Yeah, so if you can call from your cell phone, I'll keep the live stream open and you can just tell us what you're going through as you go through. Would that be okay?
Okay, you want me to take the camera up there too?
Yeah, because you're going to
Okay.
need it there eventually. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and end your Zoom session. I'll do the clicks here on, whoops, it's right here. And right here, leave meeting. So that takes you away. That goes back to here. And I'll leave his computer. And then we'll answer that in a moment, Kevin, after I read through the rest of these. If he changes, I'm going up. There's a boot menu key. What's his motherboard? Asus Prime 370. No, that was Williams. Does anybody remember what Greg's reported his motherboard to be from the earlier stream today? If you could put that in chat, I'd appreciate that. And Kevin then says, if you change the boot priority in BIOS, he will want to change it back when done to prevent issues. Yes, agreed. Why are we doing 1909? I'll answer that in a minute. Why don't you just install 20H2 from a flash drive? I'll answer that in a minute. Sam, Rick Hubbard, we want to know if his computer is capable of doing an update from 1909 20H2. Thank you, that is the answer. Then restore backup. And Rick, thanks, Sam, I'd forgotten that. Reiterate that. We're installing 1909 because we want to see, I want to see, if his computer is capable and will successfully upgrade from 1909 all the way up to 20H2, because right now my mind says there's this range of possibilities of what could be happening. And part of that range involves a hardware problem. If it's a hardware problem, then a fresh install of 1909 should also fail to upgrade to 20H2. That would be saying that it's some kind of a hardware conflict that Microsoft has not yet fixed. Microsoft is constantly fixing incompatibilities. They went for a long time with one of the versions where they couldn't get it to work with a Microsoft Surface laptop. It's their software, their computer, and they had hardware conflicts that took them a long time to solve. When I first pitched that explanation to Greg, his response was, these are all major name brands. And I'm saying that doesn't matter. Microsoft has problems with major name brands. Can anybody say Kyocera? Okay. There's the major brand, long time around, does not prevent a Microsoft update from having a conflict. So if there's a conflict with some combination of hardware, and sometimes I'm serious, a combination. I've had a problem with my capture cards, where with a particular sound driver, AS Media, it was called, and OBS software, and this capture card, they could not get along. And that's why if I'm remembering right, why I currently am using XSplit instead of OBS. So if we just installed 20H2 and it works, we don't have any answer as to what really happened. If his computer will if it has a problem upgrading from 1909 to 20H2, it's quite possible that a fresh install of 20H2 will work. And I say that because during the days when I was upgrading computers from Windows 7 to Windows 10, computers that were not built for Windows 10 and not on the, what do they call it, ACL list, the, compatibility list, they would not upgrade to it, but I could do a fresh install of Windows 10. So a fresh install of Windows 10 is not the same thing as upgrading to it. Now, let me go back and catch up here. I think I answered why we're doing 1909. If this was a business client who's paying me by the hour, there's no way I'd be doing this. I would have, long time ago, just used Fab's Auto Backup to back up their profile, do a fresh install of Windows 20H2, and restore their profile and do whatever other rebuilding, because this has been far too much time to do in a professional computer support environment. But we're not in a professional computer support environment. We're in an environment where I get to create YouTube videos and I can delve deeper into these weird, bizarre things that go wrong. And it's fascinating and I enjoy it, so that's why we're doing this. So that answers that. Rick, we want to know if his computer is capable of doing it. Oh yeah, okay, sorry, you already read that. Then restore backup. Yeah, we made a Acronis backup and we made a Macrium Reflect backup. The reason why we did the Macrium Reflect is because I'm not very familiar with Acronis. I know what I can do with Macrium. I want to learn more about Acronis, so we're going to go first to Acronis if we wind up doing that. So if we wind up believing that his computer is fine, meaning it can upgrade from 1909 all the way to 20H2, just fine, then we're going to restore the Acronis image backup and try to figure out what is wrong with his computer. Now, it could be, when you uninstall programs, many of you know, when you uninstall programs, they don't uninstall cleanly. Even Microsoft programs, I go back and look in the registry and look in other places, and I always find residual stuff. None of the programs uninstall themselves responsibly and thoroughly. So could that have left baggage that we'll never be able to track down? That's entirely possible. And that'll be frustrating if we can't really find something to put our hands on and say this was the culprit. Let's see, Sam Harambe, you need to reduce your bit rate. Oh, okay, let's consider that, bit rate. I don't know those numbers very well. Can I reduce my bit rate during a stream? I'm going to say probably not. I do remember seeing where bit rate is, and I think that comes up before I start a stream. Can you give me actual numbers, Harambe? Kevin, Revo helps with that. I recognize the word Revo, but I can't place what that is or where it is. And Sam says yes. You can do that in stream while the stream's running. Okay, can you guide me where to, let me try this. I think I can actually show you that, can't I? Let's see, if I go up here to Tools, Settings, in my XSplit, go up here, YouTube Live, will this show me? I'm using XSplit, if you didn't already know that. And trying to find where bitrate is, and I'm just stumbling around because I don't know this. I don't know this stuff. Should I be doing that in the YouTube live stream console or in XSplit to change bitrate? You can do that in stream. Try to do 500. Oh wow, I see that going on now. I didn't see that later. I have one computer showing me through YouTube. Try to do 500 or less, 1,000 or less. It's buffering pretty heavy. I'm going to go click on stream health. 344 no data, 340 healthy, 339 YouTube not receiving. Yeah, I'm seeing all that. Harambe heavy, I assume you mean buffering heavy. Sam, 6,000 is the norm. You can set it to 5,000 or 4,500. I'm going to try the edit button. In the YouTube video studio or live studio. I'm not seeing in there a place to change that. It's not going to be there. You are trying to send 16,000 right now. That is within XSplit. Okay, I don't even know how you know that I'm trying to send it 16,000. So I'm looking in XSplit. Here's, if I click that stream button, it's going to actually stop the stream about over here. Resolution, frame rate. Frame rate says 30 frames per second. I got a place where I see settings for resolution and frame rate, but I don't see any adjustments. Fix video editor, tool settings. As within XSplit, XSplit Settings COG. COG. XSplit Settings. There is no menu option called Settings. On the Tools menu, there is an option called Settings. When I go into there, there's tabs for General, Audio, Hotkeys, Sharing, Advanced. You know what? I think I can show you the screen. If I go to Settings and yeah, I don't have display capture, so if I do this, you should be able to see my XSplit screen. So if I go to Tools, Settings, I don't see anything in here that looks like the adjustment you're asking for. XSplit Settings cog, YouTube will give me those numbers. Right clicking on video and select Stats for Nerds. That's how he knows. Right clicking on video, select Stats for Nerds. Okay, so that sounds like in the where you're looking at YouTube. Oh, okay, so I'm going to in the YouTube video and click on Settings gear. Right click on video, select Stats for Nerds. Right click, Stats for Nerds, there it is. Aha. All right. Let's see. 1280 by 720 dropped. Oh, a bunch of drops. Volume, codecs, connection, speed, network activity, buffer health, live latency, live mode, mystery text. All right, you're trying to send 16,000 right now. I don't see what in there is saying 16,000. All right, so that's Stats for Nerds, but that doesn't give me a place to make changes, right? Your YouTube video, that's how he knows. still haven't seen a place to change this. Oh, how about this settings? Right here. You cannot edit settings while streaming. Because I think that's where I get the settings you're describing. I think the stream will stay live if I actually stop sending from XSplit. Then I can go in and make those changes and then send again while we're waiting for Greg. We haven't heard back from Greg yet. So that's closed. Yeah, see, I think I can go to this gear icon right here when I'm not streaming. It won't let me edit those settings while I'm streaming. 6,000, you can do that in stream. What I need to do, you're saying, oh, it's the bit rate, right? Google how to change XSplit bitrate. You can do it while streaming. All right, then I'll take you that road with me. Here I'm on my computer number 2, going to the new tab, Google how to change XSplit bitrate while streaming. How to enable adaptive bitrate. Go to your broadcast plugin. That's for Twitch. Under video encoding, select the gear icon to open video encoding setup. That sounds like the place that I was showing you a moment ago. How do I change the bitrate on XSplit broadcaster? Click on the Outputs menu bar, Settings cog next to the streaming service, change bitrate. I can't get there while I'm actually streaming. So here, take you back to it. It's saying to go here to the gear cog. And I remember that this bitrate is in this screen, but I can't get to it while I'm streaming. So we're going to go ahead and try this. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Screen should go dark for a while. The chat should still work. I'm going to try to change that bitrate from whatever it's on now down to, what were you guys recommending? 500 less or 1,000 less than what I'm doing right now. 6,000 is the norm, and you say that I'm at 16,000 right now. So if I'm at 16,000 right now, I'm going to try for 6,000. If I'm at 6,000 now, I'll try for 4,500. So I should be back pretty quickly. All right, here we go.